So honestly, the first thing I want to know is what was it like opening for Norm MacDonald? You threw that out there, like
Yeah, I did. Like, it was no big deal. Opening for Norm was incredible. Norm is one of the funniest people alive, he was one of the funniest people alive. He's gone now. He's alive in my heart. I'll tell you that. Sometimes I text his old number. Oh. Just random things. Like, he truly was so important to me. So I got to open for him by happenstance. I used to be a paid regular at my home club in Wise Guys, which is Salt Lake City, Utah. So sometimes headliners come through and they have no one with them to open, and then one of the locals gets the shot. And so I got to be the one. I'm losing my mind. I get to be the one. A lot of the times you don't get to talk to the headliner. They're just not interested, or they're tired, or they don't want to be social, which I get. And so he was not that. He was get into the green room with me, hang out, so kind. And he did this whole bit where the owner of the club comes in and he goes, "Hey, I don't have my jokes. I need a pen. Can you go get me a pen?" And the owner of the club is like, "Oh my God, yeah, I guess." And so he goes and gets him a pen, and he goes, "I need a piece of paper for the pen. I need a piece of paper." And the owner is like, "Really?" He's like, "Are you being serious?" He's like, "No, I genuinely don't have paper to write my set down." And so he goes and gets paper, and then he goes, "I don't have, do you have a stool I can like write on?" And the owner is literally like, "Okay." And he goes and gets a stool. So then he sets his piece of paper down on the stool, and he has his pen, and he's in front of all of us, and he goes, "Now if I just had jokes." It was the best. That's how funny he was. Just for no one, just to us three guys in there. Yeah. But I opened for him. He was super gracious, super cool, liked my comedy, and then invited me to dinner with him afterwards.
What?
Yeah, it was incredible. Paid for my dinner, took me to like this fancy restaurant.
I need you to slow this bit down now. I want to know everything.
Oh yeah.
Where did you go? What's it like?
We went to
around
Ruth's Chris, which is a steakhouse that I think is like a chain or whatever. Yeah. But in Utah, we don't have a lot going on, so that was it. We went there, and we were the friend of his, and he was just like so genuinely kind and cool. People would be like, "I feel like I know you. You're like famous, right?" And he'd be like, "I don't know what you're talking about," like doing it. And he would just so humble, like just talk to me about life, talk to me about comedy, talk to me about open mics, and just things that are like so far beyond him. He's so clearly like a comic's comic. Do you know what I mean? A person and he was incredibly present with me, and just like, I have a problem where I am able to engage someone but not be present. So I could be on my phone and engage. And so I have a bad habit of not being totally present with people, which I think is a flaw, and I'm trying really hard to solve that. But he had all of my focus, right? And he was just the best. And I had all of his. It was crazy, a crazy experience. Then the next night he invited me out again. So kind of me.
How does he invite you out?
He literally is just like, "We're going to eat. Are you coming with?"
Oh, I see.
Yeah, like, and there are other people with us that he didn't invite. Like, he's specifically being kind to me, which is like so the comic, like he treated me like an equal, despite the fact that I was like this opener, this young, hungry guy doing like 15 minutes to open for him. And so cool. And then before we left, I would like follow him around like a puppy dog, like, "Is it okay if I hang out while you drink or whatever, at the club?" And so nice to me. And then before he left, he goes, "What's your phone number?" And I was like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "I want your phone. Give me your phone number." And because I was like blown away, I thought he was doing a bit. And I gave him my number, and then he like texted me. I've had lots of popular comics whose names I won't mention kind of be cool after a show, or be like, "I have a note for you. Give me here, text. Here's my number. Text me," or whatever. And then they never reply to you again for the rest of your life. And like, it's cool that they tried, but they got busy. They got a text and they just didn't care, or they decided later, like, "I don't even know what I was going to say," or whatever. And they don't even give you the time of day, which is fine. Whatever. You're famous. I'm me. But Norm messaged me back. Norm would just be like, "How are you? How's it going lately?" Like not comedy related stuff. I'm nobody to this guy. He was so cool. He would randomly ask you questions. Like, he asked me if I believed in God once. Just randomly.
What did
no
you say
reason.
at the time?
At the time, I was like, I used to say this, and looking back, it's kind of dorky. I used to say I'm an 8 of 10 atheist. And he goes, so yes. Yeah, so yes. And I go, I guess. And he goes, agnostic. And I go, I suppose. And at the time, I'm like resisting God because if God exists, the implication is that he wants something from you. He has expectations of you as a person. And that's terrifying and also sounds like work, and people don't want to work. And I also didn't want to work. But yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did you ever ask him for advice? So like, what did you think of my show?
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
how'd that go?
It went well. I mean, he gave me like regular advice, hey, you're looking down, you should look up, you should perform to the, just like notes. Nothing profound. I don't think I needed it at the time.
It takes humility to offer advice. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I think it's a false humility. Yeah, just turn that off or turn it around.
Yeah.
It's a false humility to pretend that you're not good at what you do.
Yeah.
But when you go, okay, no one's perfect and I'm not as good as I could be, but I do have something to offer and I'm happy to offer it. Like that shows humility, I think.
I think it does. And the fact that he didn't try to sometimes I've asked comics a question or been like, what do you think about this? Or what about this joke? Or what do you think about stage presence? Just talking shop. Yeah. And comics will begin to philosophize or just be grandiose. I wonder if I'm guilty of this. If I am, I cringe to think of another open micer thinking of a time that I gave them advice and I was too heady or whatever. I'm sure I've done it. But he was not that. He was he gave me what I needed and that was it. He was so interested in just being a dude, talking to me as a human being, which is wildly invaluable. Especially when you look up to someone and they're so important to you. And I never really geeked out and was like, I've watched everything you've ever done on SNL and all of your movies and all of your stand-up, but
you can criticize what I'm about to say, and I feel bad doing it because the man is dead, and I pray for his soul. He seemed like a beautiful man. But I was listening to some of his comedy driving back from Seek, and so much of it is perverse and sexual and gross.
Yes.
And in a way, because he's so lovable and charming, it made it even grosser. And whenever he was just sort of deadpan and dad jokey and dry, he was so beautiful and lovable.
And the most popular Halloween greeting is, I'll kill you and that guy who's bringing over your glasses, or treat.
I wish he never veered into that direction.
Were you hearing stand-up that was really gross? Or were you hearing just him on other shows talking to people and dealing with things?
No, because I think when he was on late night shows, there's some level of, please don't be talking about deep sexual things here. Yeah. So he didn't do it then. But maybe there was some stand-up that I listened to that I was like, oh, this is so disappointing. But it's kind of like he's not a friend of mine, but you become friends with somebody, right? And then once you're friends, you give them the benefit of the doubt.
True.
Maybe it's like that.
I would give him the benefit of the doubt. I just think he was a comic, and I've done a lot of gross stuff, and I've done stuff that's gross that I'm like, what was I doing? Especially now at this stage of my life. I think over the last 2 years, I've kind of stepped back and tried to reevaluate comedy and what I want it to be. And I've deleted a lot of stuff over the years that I've done that I'm like, what was I? What? Why was I doing that? So maybe some of that for him. But also when I saw him live, he was doing almost entirely stuff about history. It's very morbid, very funny, very weird. So I never got we didn't talk about anything sexual at all when I was with him. He didn't really ask me about girls or anything. We were just a lot of philosophy, a lot of just life and comedy and friendships and relationships and what we think about other comics and how we view things. I don't know. It was awesome. We talked about addiction a lot. I think he was addicted to gambling. And so I think he had a friend there with him to kind of keep him in check. He also didn't drink alcohol when I was with him. I don't know if he was sober. So he might have been working on all that. And this is probably around the time maybe he wasn't going through treatment, but he had been diagnosed with something. It was quite a while ago. And he never told me anything about his sickness. He just died. One day I was like, he's not dead. And I like messaged him and he was dead. So I was like, what a G, you know?
Yeah.
I was diagnosed with cancer once and it was false.
Okay. But it would have wrecked you, I'm sure.
Yeah, it would have been bad. But I mean to
be told that news would have wrecked you, despite whether it was happening.
I was told. So I didn't tell anybody. I just told 3 really important people in my life, and just waited, and kind of was like, am I going to tell anybody? So I kind of see where he's coming from.
Yeah.
So
that's amazing, man.
Yeah. So he was a great guy.
Hey, thank you so much for watching. Before you go, do us a favor, leave a comment, let us know what you thought of the video, like, and subscribe.